Every woman has a wildness within her, a part that yearns to break free from expectations, to run untamed, to live unapologetically. But there's a tension, isn't there? A fear that if we let that part of ourselves out, we'll lose control, we'll scare others away, or we'll become someone we don't recognize. This is the paradox of the wild woman. She represents the freedom we crave and the fear that holds us back. But here's the truth. The wild woman isn't here to destroy us. She's here to wake us up, to show us who we really are beneath the layers of conditioning and control. The wild woman archetype is a force of nature. She defies the rules, speaks her truth boldly, and claims her desires without apology. She's connected to her instincts, her power, and her untamed essence. But like any archetype, the wild woman has a shadow side. When suppressed for too long, she doesn't just disappear. She becomes restless, angry, and chaotic, demanding to be seen. That shadow is what many of us fear. But suppressing her does not solve the problem. It only deepens the disconnection. The real work isn't about controlling the wild woman. It's about listening to her, learning from her, integrating her into our lives in a way that empowers us instead of overwhelming us. When my family and I moved to Costa Rica in 2020, I thought I was stepping into a dream. I envisioned peace, clarity, and a deep connection with the beautiful nature. What I got instead was freaking chaos. We moved from house to house, never finding stability. My business was rocky because Brent decided that he was stepping out. The family dynamics were strained, and every plan I made seemed to fall apart. At first, I tried to control it all. I pushed harder, hoping that if I just worked more, planned better, or tried harder, I can make everything right. But the harder I pushed, the worse it got. And beneath all the chaos, I felt this boiling rage I couldn't ignore. I was angry at the world. I was angry at my circumstances, and most of all, angry at myself. I didn't know it then, but I was meeting the shadow side of the wild woman. She was demanding my attention, and no amount of control could quiet her voice. By the summer of 2023, I felt like a shell of myself. The woman I saw in the mirror wasn't the vibrant, free spirit I knew I could be. She was bitter, exhausted, and disconnected. But here's the thing about the wild woman. She doesn't show up to ruin you. She shows up to wake you up. And as I started to listen to her, I realized what she was trying to teach me. I couldn't keep living in a way that ignored my needs, my truth, and my essence. The wild woman was calling me to let go of control, to feel the fullness of my emotions, and to trust that freedom wasn't about doing more, it was about being more. When I moved back to the States for a few months, something shifted. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to pause, to rest, to reconnect with the simple joys of life. I started gathering with soul sisters weekly, sharing meals with my parents, and letting go of the constant need to hustle. And in that stillness, another archetype began to emerge: the lover. The lover is that part of us that thrives on connection, not just with others, but with ourselves and the world around us. She's soft, open, gentle, receptive. She finds beauty in the small things, joy in the quiet moments, and love in the presence. Where the wild woman taught me to break free, the lover taught me to soften. Together, they showed me a new way of being, one that balanced boldness with tenderness, fire with grace, and freedom with connection. When I returned to Costa Rica, I brought both archetypes with me. Brant and I had been working with a therapist, rebuilding the foundation of our marriage. We moved into our beautiful tree house that he built, surrounded by the jungle, a space that felt alive with possibility. For the first time in years, I felt like I was living in alignment. The wild woman gave me permission to say no to what didn't serve me, to set boundaries, to own my truth unapologetically. The lover gave me permission to trust again, to connect deeply, to embrace joy, love, and presence. And together, they created a balance that allowed me to show up fully, not just for my family and my work, but for myself. This integration is not about perfection. It's about wholeness. It's about honoring every part of who you are and finding the courage to live from that place. The wild woman and the lover are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. One calls you to break free. The other calls you to connect. Together, they remind you that freedom isn't about choosing one or the other. It's about embracing both. So today, brave woman, I invite you to ask yourself, where is the wild woman calling me to step into my power? Where is the lover inviting me to open my heart? Because when you integrate these parts of yourself, you don't just survive, you flourish. Here's to the brave women who dare to be whole.